The greatest mistake most people make in life is believing that their worth depends on how much they give to others, how much they sacrifice, and how much they pour out, while never realizing that in the process they are draining themselves dry. They give their time, their attention, their strength, their focus, and they leave nothing for their own growth. They place everyone else's needs above their own, and slowly, without even noticing, they abandon themselves. What they fail to see is that when you neglect yourself, you are destroying the very source of your potential. You cannot rise while you are empty. You cannot achieve while you are constantly distracted by the demands of others. Life demands that you rise above this dangerous habit of self-abandonment and begin the sacred work of prioritizing your own journey, because the truth is simple. No one else will live your life for you. No one else will chase your dreams. No one else will endure your struggles. And no one else will carry the weight of your destiny. That responsibility belongs only to you. When you spend your life living for others, you end up living without direction. You are pulled left and right by voices that do not know your purpose. You are dragged down paths that were never meant for you. And the tragedy is, you wake up one day realizing that years have passed and you have built nothing that belongs to you. You have been so busy pleasing others, helping others, impressing others, that you lost sight of yourself. That is the silent tragedy of a life lived without self-priority. It looks busy, it looks useful, but it leads to emptiness. The truth is, if you do not make yourself your own priority, you will always remain a background character in your own story. There is nothing selfish about choosing yourself. In fact, it is the most responsible thing you can do. When you choose yourself, you choose growth. You choose strength. You choose to take full ownership of your future. And ownership is power. It gives you clarity. It gives you control. It gives you freedom. Without it, you are tossed around like a leaf in the wind, at the mercy of other people's decisions, emotions, and expectations. With it, you stand firm, you take control, and you begin to move your life forward with intention. You must understand that the world will not hand you time to focus on yourself. People will always demand something from you. There will always be a distraction waiting to steal your attention. There will always be someone who thinks their priorities are more important than your dreams. And if you allow it, they will take everything from you until nothing remains. That is why self-priority is not optional. It is essential. If you do not protect your time, your focus, and your energy, you will never have them available for your own growth. Think of your life as a garden. If you do not water your own soil, nothing will grow. If you keep pouring all your water into other people's gardens, yours will remain barren, dry, lifeless. You will watch others flourish while you wither. But if you turn that water toward your own ground, if you tend to your own seeds, if you give yourself the attention you deserve, your life will bloom. It will bear fruit that others can benefit from. Only then can you truly give from a place of strength. The forgotten truth is this: you cannot save anyone if you cannot save yourself. You cannot lift others while you are broken. You cannot give strength when you are empty. Your first duty is to rise, to build, to grow, and to stand tall in your own power. Then and only then can you become someone who can genuinely contribute to others. Until you choose yourself, until you make yourself a priority, your life will always feel incomplete. This is where transformation begins. It begins with the decision that your life matters, that your time is valuable, and that your energy is sacred. It begins when you stop abandoning yourself for the sake of others and start honoring yourself for the sake of your destiny. Because at the end of it all, you are the one who must live with your choices. You are the one who must face the mirror and answer the question, did I live for myself, or did I waste my life living for everyone else? The answer to that question is determined today in the choices you make and in the courage you show to finally place yourself first. Greatness is not built on luck, chance, or convenience. It does not fall into your hands because of circumstance or accident. It is born out of a deliberate choice, a choice to put yourself first, to give your energy to your own development before you scatter it everywhere else. The beginning of greatness is discipline. And discipline starts when you decide that your growth is non-negotiable. Without that foundation, you are like a house built on sand. You may look solid for a while, but the moment pressure comes, the moment life tests you, you crumble. That is why the first step toward anything extraordinary is deciding to make yourself unshakable. This means training your mind, strengthening your body, building your character, and protecting your focus. You cannot be weak and expect life to hand you strength. You cannot be distracted and expect destiny to reward you with clarity. To rise above mediocrity, you must first create the foundation on which greatness can stand. The foundation of greatness is self-respect. It is the moment you stop tolerating excuses from yourself. It is the moment you refuse to live in the comfort zone of laziness and half-hearted effort. When you look at yourself in the mirror and say, "I will not accept anything less than my best," that is when the shift begins. Respecting yourself means you no longer allow your life to be dictated by impulses or temporary emotions. You live by principle, not preference. You rise because you demand it of yourself, not because someone else pushes you. The weak wait for motivation, but those who respect themselves rely on discipline. They know that discipline is the language of greatness, and it is spoken only by those who decide to make themselves their number one priority. Greatness cannot grow in a life full of distractions. The foundation of all progress is focus. When you give your attention to everything, you master nothing. When you scatter your energy across 1,000 meaningless pursuits, you weaken yourself. But when you concentrate, when you pour your time into your growth, your mind sharpens like a blade. You begin to see the world differently. You stop reacting to every little problem and start responding with clarity and strength. That is what happens when you protect your focus. You become a master of yourself, and when you master yourself, the world cannot control you. That is the ground on which greatness is built. There is no shortcut to becoming extraordinary. The foundation requires daily effort, daily sacrifice, daily commitment. You wake up earlier, you study harder, you push further. You remove what weakens you and you strengthen what empowers you. And slowly, brick by brick, habit by habit, decision by decision, you lay down the groundwork of an unshakable life, a life that cannot be easily broken, a life that rises when others fall. This is the essence of greatness, not what you achieve on the outside, but what you have built on the inside. And when that foundation is strong, no storm, no obstacle, no enemy will be able to tear you down. When you begin to treat yourself as the most valuable asset you own, everything in your life begins to shift. Self-respect is not about arrogance. It is not about looking down on others. It is about recognizing your own worth and demanding that your actions match it. Too many people say they want success, but their habits reveal that they do not respect themselves. They waste time, they tolerate toxic influences, they settle for mediocrity, and then they wonder why life does not reward them. The truth is simple. Life will never respect you more than you respect yourself. If you accept less, you will live less. If you tolerate weakness, you will remain weak. The moment you raise your standards, the moment you refuse to compromise on your values, your discipline, and your growth, that is the moment your life begins to rise. Self-respect is the fuel that powers transformation. Without it, you remain stuck in cycles of excuses and regret. Respecting yourself means protecting your energy as if it were gold. You do not give it away carelessly. You do not allow anyone to drain it. You do not waste it on meaningless battles or empty distractions. Every time you say yes to things that weaken you, you say no to your own future. Self-respect teaches you to say no when you need to walk away when something does not align with your purpose, and to stay focused when everything around you is trying to pull you off track. The moment you start living this way, you become stronger. You begin to feel a fire inside you, a fire that cannot be extinguished by the opinions or actions of others. True self-respect is discipline in action. It is waking up when you said you would wake up. It is keeping the promises you make to yourself. It is following through even when you do not feel like it. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your self-respect grows. Every time you break one, it dies a little. That is why some people never find power. They betray themselves daily, and then they wonder why they feel empty, powerless, and lost. The ones who rise are those who guard their self-respect with everything they have. They know that the way you treat yourself sets the standard for how the world will treat you. If you treat yourself with strength, the world cannot ignore it. If you carry yourself with dignity, the world cannot overlook it. Self-respect also means refusing to stay the same. It means holding yourself accountable when you know you are not giving your best. It means calling yourself out on your own excuses and refusing to live small. The greatest leaders, the strongest minds, the most unshakable people all share one thing in common. They respect themselves enough to demand excellence. And that excellence is not a one-time choice. It is a lifestyle. It is practiced daily in every decision, in every habit, in every moment where you choose growth over weakness. Respect yourself deeply enough to never accept less than you deserve, and you will unlock a level of strength, focus, and power that most people will never experience. Hard work has been misunderstood by many. People treat it as punishment, as something to avoid, as a burden that makes life heavy. But the truth is the opposite. Hard work is not a prison, it is freedom. It is the one thing that separates those who remain trapped in mediocrity from those who rise above it. Hard work liberates you from the chains of dependency. It frees you from regret. It releases you from the weakness of always wishing, always waiting, always hoping, but never moving. Every time you choose hard work over comfort, you are choosing progress. Every time you decide to push when you could rest, to persist when you could quit, to stay disciplined when you could take the easy path, you build strength. That strength becomes your shield, your power, your advantage. While others complain about the weight of effort, you transform that weight into muscle, into resilience, into unstoppable momentum. Discipline is the backbone of hard work. Without discipline, your energy is scattered. You may work hard for a day, but if you do not sustain it, nothing changes. Discipline makes hard work consistent. It takes temporary effort and turns it into lasting progress. This is why those who master discipline begin to look unshakable. They may not feel motivated every day, but they show up anyway. They may feel tired, but they refuse to quit. They may face obstacles, but they do not surrender. This is the power of discipline. It forces you to act according to your goals, not according to your feelings. And when you live this way, results are inevitable. There is no greatness without labor. Every success story is written with sweat, with long hours, with repetition that most people would avoid. Those who rise are not necessarily the smartest or the most gifted, but they are the ones willing to endure the grind. They are willing to sacrifice comfort for growth. They are willing to take on the pain of effort so they do not live with the pain of regret. Hard work is not glamorous. It is not always exciting, but it is always worth it because it builds something inside you that no one can take away. It builds discipline, character, strength, and resilience, qualities that separate the extraordinary from the ordinary. The truth is, comfort destroys people far more than hard work ever could. Comfort makes you weak, lazy, and fragile. Hard work makes you sharp, prepared, and powerful. Every time you step into discomfort and demand more from yourself, you unlock potential you didn't know existed. You learn that you are capable of far more than you believed. And once you taste that, once you realize that hard work is not a curse but a gift, you stop running from it. You start embracing it. You start craving it because you understand that every drop of effort is taking you closer to the life you deserve. This is the discipline of work, choosing effort over ease, progress over excuses, consistency over weakness. It is not punishment. It is the path to freedom. Most people never reach their full potential because their lives are filled with noise. The opinions of others, the endless distractions of the world, the constant pull of comparison, these things consume their energy and rob them of their focus. They are so busy listening to voices outside of themselves that they forget to listen to the only voice that truly matters, the voice within. When you drown in noise, you lose direction. You waste your power on things that have nothing to do with your growth. You trade your vision for gossip, your strength for approval, your purpose for shallow entertainment. And then you wonder why your progress is slow, why your dreams feel distant, why your life feels stuck. The truth is, success belongs only to those who learn to silence the noise, who protect their minds from distractions, who refuse to let the world's chaos dictate their path. Silencing the noise begins with discipline over your attention. Attention is the most valuable resource you own because wherever it goes, your energy follows. When you allow your attention to be hijacked by negativity, by meaningless chatter, by the endless flood of opinions, you weaken yourself. But when you guard it, when you choose where to place it, you regain control over your life. This means cutting out the distractions that add nothing to your growth. It means refusing to give time to people who only drain you. It means focusing so deeply on your vision that nothing outside can pull you away. When your attention is yours again, your progress accelerates. Another form of noise that destroys people is comparison. They look at what others are doing, what others have, where others are going, and they poison their own journey with envy. Comparison is noise because it distracts you from the only competition that matters, who you were yesterday. When you measure yourself against others, you either feel inferior and lose confidence or feel superior and lose humility. Both are destructive. The only way forward is to silence that comparison and focus on becoming the strongest version of yourself. The world does not need you to be someone else. The world needs you to rise as yourself. And you cannot do that until you stop listening to the noise of comparison. Finally, silencing the noise means building in silence. Too many people announce their dreams, boast about their goals, and talk more than they work. But the loudest talkers are usually the weakest builders. True power is quiet. It does not need applause. It does not beg for attention. It moves in silence, builds in silence, and only speaks when results speak for it. When you choose to work this way, you conserve your energy. You keep your vision pure. You move forward while everyone else is distracted. The world may be loud, but your progress does not need to be. Protect your focus, silence the noise, and build in the quiet, because when the time comes, your success will make the only noise that matters. Every hour you spend building yourself is an investment that pays for a lifetime. Most people chase quick rewards, instant pleasure, and temporary satisfaction, but those things never last. They waste years chasing what fades and ignore the one thing that endures, the strength of the person they are becoming. When you choose to invest in yourself, you are choosing to build value that can never be stolen, never be destroyed, and never lose its worth. Knowledge compounds. Discipline compounds. Habits compound. Smallest investments, when repeated over time, become unstoppable forces of growth. A single hour of study, a single day of discipline, a single choice of effort may feel small, but repeated daily, they transform you into someone unrecognizable. This is the law of inner investment. Every choice adds up, and in time it builds a life of power. When you prioritize inner investment, you shift your focus from the outside world to the inside. Instead of chasing validation, you chase growth. Instead of begging for opportunities, you build the skills that create them. Instead of waiting for luck, you prepare yourself so deeply that when opportunity comes, you are ready to seize it. Investing in yourself means putting energy into your mind, your body, your character. It means reading, learning, practicing, exercising, and developing the traits that make you unshakable. The world may take away your money, your possessions, your circumstances, but it can never take away who you become. That is why the wisest people do not spend their lives collecting things. They spend their lives collecting strength within themselves. The tragedy is that most people ignore this truth. They think investment means money. They think success is measured only by what they own. But you can own everything and still be weak, still be lost, still be miserable. True wealth is not in possessions. It is in preparation. It is in knowing that you have built a mind strong enough to handle challenges, a spirit strong enough to endure storms, and a discipline strong enough to keep moving forward no matter what stands in your way. That kind of wealth cannot be bought. It must be built. And it is built through the daily choice to invest in yourself above everything else. Every time you invest in yourself, you are planting seeds for your future. You may not see results immediately, but trust that they are growing beneath the surface. The day will come when your effort blooms into opportunities, when your discipline turns into victories, when your sacrifices become rewards. And when that day comes, you will realize that nothing you gave to yourself was wasted. Every book read, every habit formed, every hour of work, every moment of discipline, it all adds up. It all builds the foundation of a life that cannot be broken. This is why the inner investment is the greatest investment you will ever make. It is the only investment that guarantees returns for the rest of your life. Living for approval is one of the most destructive prisons a person can build for themselves. From the moment you start chasing validation, you hand your power over to others. You allow their opinions to shape your choices, their judgments to dictate your actions, their approval to determine your worth. This is slavery in disguise. It feels safe because you believe acceptance will give you peace. But in reality, it steals your freedom and kills your authenticity. The more you chase validation, the weaker you become, because you are no longer living for your own purpose. You are living for applause, and applause is never permanent. Today they cheer, tomorrow they criticize. If your sense of self depends on their approval, you will rise and fall with their moods, never standing firm on your own foundation. Breaking the chains of approval begins with one decision, deciding that your life belongs to you and no one else. You are not here to be liked, you are here to be fulfilled. You are not here to fit in, you are here to rise. When you accept this, you realize that external validation is an illusion. It is shallow, temporary, and inconsistent. True strength comes from internal validation, the voice within that says, I did my best, I stayed true to myself, I honored my purpose. That voice cannot be silenced when others disapprove. It cannot be taken away when others criticize. It gives you the power to keep moving forward, even when the world is against you. Many people waste years of their lives because they are afraid of disappointing others. They stay in jobs they hate, in relationships that drain them, in lifestyles that don't reflect who they are, all because they fear judgment. But judgment will come no matter what. Whether you rise or stay the same, whether you succeed or fail, people will always have something to say. The tragedy is when you let their opinions dictate your path and rob you of the life you were meant to live. Breaking the chains of approval means accepting that you will be misunderstood. You will be criticized, you will be doubted. But that does not matter, because none of those voices will live your life for you. Freedom is born when you stop asking for permission to be yourself, when you stop waiting for applause before you move, when you stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand your vision. At that moment, you become untouchable. Their opinions lose their power, their criticism loses its sting, and their approval no longer controls you. You rise not because they validate you, but because you validate yourself. You move forward not because they believe in you, but because you believe in yourself. And that is the kind of strength that cannot be broken. Break the chains of approval, and you will finally walk in freedom, building a life that reflects your truth, not their expectations. The brutal reality of life is that no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you success. No one will fight your battles for you. If you want to rise, you must take full responsibility for your future. Too many people wait for the perfect moment, wait for opportunities to fall into their lap, wait for someone to notice their potential. But waiting is a slow death. Life does not reward hesitation, it rewards action. The world is not gentle, and it will not bend for you simply because you desire more. It respects only one thing, effort. If you are not willing to put yourself first and work relentlessly, you will be left behind. This is the reality most people refuse to face. Mediocrity is the price you pay for waiting, while greatness is the reward for acting. The harsh truth is that talent alone is not enough. Intelligence alone is not enough. Even dreams alone are not enough. Every day, there are millions of talented, intelligent dreamers who accomplish nothing because they do not act, they do not sacrifice, they do not push through resistance. What separates those who succeed from those who fail is not potential, it is execution. It is the willingness to do what others refuse to do. It is the discipline to keep moving forward when comfort whispers in your ear to stop. Life is brutal in that sense. It does not give you what you deserve. It gives you what you demand from yourself. If you don't demand progress, you won't have it. If you don't demand strength, you will remain weak. This reality should not discourage you. It should wake you up. It should light a fire under you, Because if no one is coming to save you, that means you hold the power. That means your destiny is not in someone else's hands. It is in yours. That means you don't need to wait. You don't need to beg. You don't need permission. All you need is the courage to take control of your life and start building. Once you embrace this truth, you stop blaming others. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop making excuses, and you start moving with power because you finally understand that every step forward is in your hands. The brutal reality is this: you are either creating your destiny or you are destroying it. There is no middle ground. Every choice you make, every habit you keep, every action you take is either pushing you closer to your vision or pulling you further away. Life is not waiting for you to decide. Time is moving whether you are ready or not. That is why the weak stay behind. They keep waiting, they keep wishing, and then one day they realize they have run out of time. But the strong, the relentless, the unshakable, they face the brutal reality head on. They stop waiting, they stop wishing, they stop hiding. They choose to act now, to put themselves first, and to build a future that cannot be denied. The greatest enemy you will ever face is not outside of you. It is within you. It is not the critics, not the doubters, not the competition. It is the voice inside your head that whispers excuses, that feeds you fear, that tells you to wait until tomorrow. Laziness, doubt, procrastination, and fear are silent assassins of potential. They do not strike with noise. They work in shadows, quietly convincing you to delay, to settle, to lower your standards. They are the invisible chains that keep millions of people locked in mediocrity. And until you recognize this truth, until you face the enemy within, you will always remain trapped. The world outside can push against you, but the greatest resistance always comes from your own mind. Doubt is one of the most powerful weapons this inner enemy uses. It convinces you that you are not ready, that you are not capable, that you are not worthy. It magnifies your weaknesses and blinds you to your strengths. It whispers that failure is inevitable, so why even try? But doubt is a liar. It thrives only when you listen. The moment you act in spite of doubt, the moment you move forward even when you feel unprepared, its power begins to fade. Fear works the same way. It grows when you stand still, but it shrinks when you face it head on. The inner enemy wants you paralyzed, stuck, waiting. The way you defeat it is through relentless action. Laziness is another poison of the inner enemy. It tempts you with comfort, with rest, with ease. It tells you that you have time, that you can start later, that today doesn't matter. But laziness is a thief. It steals your future one wasted day at a time. Each day you give in, you lose ground. Each day you obey it, you grow weaker. But when you resist, when you push through fatigue, when you choose discipline over comfort, you break its hold. And every time you win that battle, you grow stronger, more resilient, more unstoppable. This is why the war within is the most important battle of your life. If you conquer yourself, nothing outside can defeat you. But if you are defeated by yourself, nothing outside can save you. Mastering your mind, mastering your habits, mastering your emotions, that is the path to freedom. It requires vigilance. It requires honesty. It requires the courage to look within and confront your weaknesses instead of running from them. But once you do, once you discipline your mind to obey your vision instead of your weakness, you become powerful beyond measure. The enemy within will always be there, whispering, tempting, resisting, but you are stronger. And every day you choose action over excuses, discipline over laziness, courage over fear, you win. And with enough victories, you become unstoppable. Solitude is not emptiness, it is power. Most people fear being alone because they mistake it for loneliness. They fill their days with distractions, noise, and the presence of others, never allowing themselves to sit quietly with their thoughts. But it is in solitude that transformation is born. When you step away from distractions, from the endless pull of opinions, from the chaos of the outside world, you create space to think, to reflect, and to grow. In silence, clarity emerges. You begin to see your life with honesty, to recognize where you have wasted energy, and to identify the steps needed to build the future you desire. The world may rush around you, but solitude gives you the opportunity to rise above the noise and connect with the one voice that truly matters, the voice inside. Solitude sharpens your mind. When you remove the external chatter, your thoughts become clearer. You are able to analyze your goals without interference. You can plan, strategize, and envision your life in ways that are impossible when distracted. In this silence, you confront your fears, your doubts, and your weaknesses. You discover patterns that have held you back and develop strategies to break free. The more comfortable you become with your own company, the more disciplined and focused your mind becomes. Solitude is not passive, it is active. It is the training ground where your vision is clarified and your purpose strengthened. It is also in solitude that your strength is forged. Without external validation or support, you must rely entirely on yourself. You learn to trust your judgment, to rely on your resilience, and to take responsibility for your own growth. This builds inner power that cannot be shaken by criticism or failure. When the world tests you, you face it with confidence because you have spent time cultivating strength in the quiet moments when no one was watching. Every hour spent alone, focused on improving yourself, adds a layer of armor that makes you unbreakable. Solitude also allows you to prioritize what truly matters. When you are alone, the distractions of comparison and approval disappear. You are free to examine your life honestly and ask the questions that define your path. Am I living for myself or for others? Am I growing or am I stagnant? Am I building a life of purpose or passing time in the illusions of busyness? In these moments, the answers become undeniable and the path forward becomes clear. By embracing solitude, you take control of your life, sharpen your focus, and align your actions with your highest priorities. The sacredness of solitude is this: it is where you become self-sufficient, where you cultivate the discipline and clarity that make all other victories possible. It is where the foundation of your power is laid, brick by brick in silence. Those who fear solitude fear the confrontation with themselves. Those who embrace it find transformation. They learn to listen, to plan, to act, and ultimately to rise in ways that noise and distraction could never allow. Solitude is not absence. It is the presence of your potential waiting to be realized. Extraordinary results require extraordinary standards. The average person settles for comfort, for convenience, for mediocrity, and then wonders why their life feels small, incomplete, or stagnant. They follow the path of least resistance, adjusting their goals to match their habits, instead of adjusting their habits to reach their goals. But if you want to rise above the ordinary, if you want to create a life that commands respect and achieves the impossible, you must live by relentless standards. This means demanding more from yourself than anyone else could demand. It means holding yourself accountable when no one is watching and refusing to compromise on your values, your work, and your vision. Excellence is not accidental, it is intentional, and it begins with the standard you set for yourself every day. A relentless standard is built through discipline and consistency. It is waking up when your body wants to sleep, studying when your mind wants distraction, working when your instincts scream for rest. It is following through on promises you make to yourself and refusing to accept excuses. Every time you push beyond the limit, every time you do more than you thought possible, you are raising your standard. And with every elevation, your life rises to meet it. Those who settle will never understand this principle because their lives are dictated by ease and comfort. The relentless understand that comfort kills potential, and they refuse to live in its trap. They embrace challenge, they seek growth, and they demand progress in every action they take. Living by a relentless standard also means refusing to tolerate mediocrity from others. Surround yourself with those who match your energy, your ambition, your dedication. If you allow negativity, laziness, or complacency into your inner circle, it will pull you down. Your environment is a reflection of your standards. When you set a high standard for yourself and your life, you naturally attract those who will lift you higher and repel those who would hold you back. You become a person who inspires effort, focus, and growth simply by the way you hold yourself accountable. The relentless standard extends beyond actions. It is a mindset. It is a refusal to accept temporary setbacks as permanent failures. It is the ability to see obstacles not as reasons to quit, but as signals to push harder, to adapt, and to grow stronger. It is understanding that greatness is not a destination, but a lifestyle built on repeated choices to go further, work harder, and demand more from yourself than anyone else could ask. Every day is a test of your standards, and every day you rise to it, your life transforms. If you want results that others only dream of, you must first demand excellence from yourself. You must wake up with a relentless drive to do what must be done. No matter how hard, no matter how inconvenient, no matter how much the world resists. The standard you set today will define the life you live tomorrow. Ordinary people live within limits. Extraordinary people redefine them. Make your standard relentless, and your results will follow. Putting yourself first is not selfish. It is survival. So many people have been conditioned to believe that prioritizing their own growth, their own time, and their own energy is selfish or wrong. They are told to serve, to give, to sacrifice endlessly for the sake of others, and in the process they lose themselves. But the truth is this: you cannot give strength to others if you are empty. You cannot lead, inspire, or create if you are weak and distracted. Your first responsibility is to yourself. You must be the architect of your own life, the builder of your own foundation, the guardian of your own energy. The moment you accept this truth, victory begins. You take control, and you stop giving away power that belongs only to you. Victory in self-priority comes from discipline and unwavering focus. It comes from saying no to what weakens you and yes to what builds you. Every decision you make must honor your growth. Every action must serve your purpose, and every sacrifice must strengthen your foundation. It is not about ignoring others. It is about ensuring that your life has the structure, energy, and clarity to rise above mediocrity. When you prioritize yourself, your mind sharpens, your body strengthens, and your spirit becomes unshakable. You become a force that cannot be ignored because your energy, your focus, and your effort are fully aligned with your goals. The victory of self-priority also means freedom. Freedom from dependence, freedom from distraction, freedom from the opinions of those who do not understand your vision. Most people live their lives in the shadows of others' expectations, allowing every decision to be influenced by outside voices. But when you place yourself first, you break free from that influence. You act based on your own principles, guided by your own purpose, and protected by your own discipline. No external force can dictate your path, because you are firmly anchored in your own power. That is victory, the ability to move through life unshaken, unstoppable, and fully accountable for your own success. Prioritizing yourself ensures that your contributions to the world are genuine. You cannot help others effectively if you are drained, distracted, or broken. By building yourself first, you gain the strength, clarity, and confidence to impact others in ways that are meaningful and sustainable. You become a source of inspiration, guidance, and leadership, not because you chase approval, but because your energy and excellence naturally elevate those around you. Your life becomes a model of power, resilience, and intentionality. The victory of self-priority is the triumph of control over chaos, clarity over confusion, and strength over weakness. When you choose yourself, you choose progress, power, and purpose. You become unstoppable, unshakable, and undeniable. The world may try to pull you in every direction, but nothing can break a person who has learned to prioritize themselves. Success, freedom, and strength are not given. They are earned through the relentless choice to place yourself first, work harder than anyone else, and build a life that cannot be compromised. This is your life, and it is happening right now. There's no pause, no rewind, and no guarantee of tomorrow. Every choice you make today determines the reality you will face tomorrow. The question is simple. Will you continue to live for others, to follow the path of least resistance, to wait for someone else to hand you success? Or will you finally rise and take control of your destiny? The choice is yours, and it has never been more urgent. Every moment you hesitate, every moment you postpone, every moment you ignore your own growth is a moment lost forever. The time to act is now, not later, Not when conditions are perfect, not when motivation strikes, now. To be your own priority is to declare war on excuses, laziness, and distraction. It is to refuse the easy path and embrace the one that builds strength, character, and power. It is to demand more from yourself than anyone else could possibly demand. Stop giving your energy away to people who do not appreciate it. Stop chasing approval from those who cannot understand your vision. Stop wasting time on what does not matter. Focus on your growth. Work harder than you ever have before. Train your mind, your body, and your spirit until they become unshakable. Your life is the only asset that cannot be replaced. Protect it, invest in it, and build it relentlessly. The journey will not be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is. You will face resistance, doubt, and obstacles that seem impossible to overcome. But each challenge is a test of your commitment to yourself. Each difficulty is an opportunity to rise stronger. Every time you push through discomfort, every time you act in spite of fear, every time you refuse to give up, you are winning. You are proving to yourself that your dreams matter more than temporary pain. You are showing the world that your potential cannot be ignored. The path of self-priority is the path of relentless action, and it is a path that leads to freedom, mastery, and fulfillment. This is the moment to stop waiting for permission. The world will never hand you what you deserve. You must claim it yourself. Focus on your growth. Work harder than anyone around you. Protect your energy and rise above distraction and doubt. When you prioritize yourself, you align your actions with your purpose, your vision, and your highest potential. You become unstoppable, unshakable, and undeniable. Your life will no longer be dictated by circumstance, by opinion, or by fear. You will move forward with clarity, power, and relentless determination. Now is the time to act. Be your own priority. Focus on yourself. Build the habits, discipline, and mindset that will create a life of freedom, strength, and success. Do not wait. Do not compromise. Do not settle. The only person who can make your dreams a reality is you. Take control today. Work harder than ever before and rise into the person you are meant to become. Your destiny is waiting, but it cannot wait forever. The choice is yours, and the time is now.